The next episode surprisingly doesn't start with a music video, but what we get isn't much better. Sky and Victor are in some kind of ethereal void watching Jace kill Salo. Victor says that isn't Jace, there is another will at work within him. They say that there was an ancient voice before the portal closed. They take a look at the magic spike ball and Victor says this is a sophisticated conjuration, a singularity simultaneously self-replicating and self-annihilating. Oh, I see. Yeah. Carry on. Sky says, we've never seen complexity like this. And Victor goes, flawless, exquisite chaos. Yep. I understand all of this. Very intuitive. No reason to explain further. After the credits, we still don't get a music video. Aw, drat. But don't worry, we will get one this episode. Ha, you ain't fucking ready. Ambessa is training Kate in the principles of noxious. She says noxious prizes strength above all else, defining it by 3 core principles. Alright, let me get out my notebook. She says vision, the top of the triangle, charting a course and having the wisdom to navigate it. This form is your base, child. Wait, what? I thought it was the top of the triangle, but it's the base? Huh? Your eyes see what others don't. Might, bending your environment to your will. Is that the left side or the right side of the triangle? Is it important which side it goes on? Your speed is improving, but eventually you need force. Is force different from might? Is speed a part of the triangle too? Kate says too much force exposes you to risk, and Bessa replies, indeed, the last is guile. So is it vision, might, guile, and vision is at the top, right? Phantoms, tricksters, mages, absent honor, absent accountability. Remember this. Tunnels in your eyes, lava in your veins, shadows in your heart. This is the truth of combat. I've discovered a 4th principle, one that heightens all others. Sacrifice. So are we doing a diamond or a square? We understand it as others cannot. We are kin. So the 3 core principles of strength, vision, might, and guile, I think. But also sacrifice. Vision is at the top, but also the base. You need to chart a course and have the wisdom to navigate it. Should wisdom be a part of the triangle too? Why is it important to have these as parts of the triangle? I mean, I'm sure there is something you can draw out of it, but you understand why this presentation is confusing. Thankfully, Revik walks in and is like, I tracked the beast. So off they go to hunt. Over with the 3 snooches, they are taking Vander to see Victor Christ, alongside a lot of other sickly people. The guy guarding the gate is the former addict from last season. He's like, Vi, I'm glad you returned. And Vi is like, you filthy traitor. Gas, I'm gonna step on the gas. Tonight I'll fly. And he's like, yes, that was me at my worst. Simply awful. You know, I feel like with all the experience Vi has had with people addicted to Shimmer, she should have a little more sympathy for this guy. Also, calling him a traitor for taking an addictive drug from Silco, while Vi is standing right next to Silco's favorite psychopath is pretty stupid. But wait, Jinx is a hero now, so it's all good. How could I forget with the show reminding me every 5 minutes? The guy says, all are welcome, but I must ask you to surrender your weapons. This is a place of peace. Yeah, good luck with that. Oh, they actually do it. Okay. I mean, at least Jinx keeps the Hex Crystal. Vi just leaves hers in the gauntlets. You know someone could just come along and take those. Also, what happens if someone bleeds and Vander goes crazy again? How are you gonna stop him? We do see that Grogu thinks to take and pocket the crystals from Vi's gauntlets. Kind of weird Vi didn't think of that. They start walking through the commune, and man does it look culty. Someone makes a loud noise and this sets off Vander for a moment. Then Grogu stands in front of him like, don't worry, I'll protect you. Why is she so chill with him? He's the kind of thing even fully grown people would be terrified of. He almost killed her. But she's not bothered in the slightest. They get up to Victor and he goes for a heel touch. And he sees Vander's soul or something. But oh no, the beast pushes Victor out. I don't know if it's worth trying to understand all of this. It just happens and there's nothing I can do. Pretty good tagline for the season, honestly. Sky is behind Victor and says, you once told me all systems have limits. And Victor goes, he is worth the risk. Not sure why you think that after 30 seconds with him, but sure. Victor says to Vi, Vander's psyche is deeply intertwined with the beast. And Vi asks, how did you know his name? Victor says, he told me. Funny, that's not what I saw, but Jinx interjects and says, ask for a miracle healer, get a metal fortune cookie. There are 3 more episodes of this fucking show. Victor says, I saw your father, his dream of your family, and vision of Zon as it could have been. It was beautiful. First off, I was there. That's not what you saw. And secondly, how many people have beautiful thoughts of their family and society at their best? I don't believe that this makes Vander special. Vi is like, can you help him? And they have this shot of Grogu bringing Vander some water. Every time they do this stuff, I don't like her more. I yearn harder for her death. Victor says, I will do all in my power to help him, but I have one condition. And then Jinx says something in response. Can you guess what this flanderized skinwalker of a person has to say in response to the phrase, I have one condition? It's not terribly difficult. She says, looks to me like you've got a couple. Okay, since this season is so insistent on reminding me of her, I might as well take a moment to go over patient 0 for this character archetype.
Hey, don't be afraid! You know, this town needs a hero. And it's a good thing I'm here. Yes?
Harley Quinn, as she exists, is a mockery of mental illness and people with a worthwhile sense of humor. I think the best way to describe her type of humor is disruptive. It often comes at the expense of tone or logic. I'll assume for now that you can understand what I mean by tone, so I'm going to focus on logic. People who are insane, in one form or another, do not act randomly. They have a pattern of behavior that makes sense to them. It's not that they like acting wacky, it's that they possess some form of mental issue that prevents them from adhering to social norms. For example, childhood trauma that is compounded by a life of crime. Characters like Harley Quinn and Skinwalker Jinx will do silly and illogical things for the entertainment of the audience, as opposed to an adherence to their warped perception of reality. The core of Harley Quinn's issues used to be an abusive relationship with the Joker, and it was ripe for exploration into the psychology of someone who desperately yearned for love and acceptance, similar to how Jinx in Season 1 was looking for affirmation of her abilities, something that only Selko gave her. However, the Joker doesn't actually care about Harley beyond how he can use her, but she will convince herself time and time again that it's her fault. Modern iterations try to push Harley into becoming her own supervillain, but what they often forget is that her mental illness is solely based on her obsession with Joker. This is something that Batman Arkham Knight did pretty good. Even if the Joker is dead, Harley still obsesses over him. But there are adaptations that have her break up with the Joker, while still acting like a lunatic. Now, I don't necessarily want to get into an adaptation argument, but I think having her break away from the Joker relationship while maintaining his mannerisms goes against the core of her character. Meanwhile, the core of Jinx's mental issues are all but forgotten this season, and replaced with a plot device. And this next bit is pretty subjective, but I'm quite tired of writers using mentally ill people as a replacement for actual comedy. This isn't to say you can't have insane or disabled people as a part of a joke, but it feels lazy to just be like, they're crazy, so we can make them do whatever we want. Believe it or not, there was a point in time when Harley was a pretty good character. A sort of cautionary tale about giving your affection unconditionally to someone when it is not deserved. Harley's abusive relationship with Joker is tragic, and when taken seriously it can present some meaningful drama. You know, for kids. You see, a Harley Quinn archetype is not rotten to the core. There is a way to make an unstable, jokey character and give them a meaningful story. The problem is, DC properties nowadays are written by dipshit morons that can't create worthwhile drama, let alone decent comedy. Penguin being a bewildering outlier. Furthermore, I very much doubt that the people who enjoy Harley Quinn would ever want a meaningful exploration of her trauma. Things like self-reflection or addressing her past mistakes are not exactly fun. And I'm cynical enough to say that the vast majority of people would rather choose feel-good over contemplate. If someone made a Harley Quinn movie that meaningfully explored her psyche and trauma, similar to something like Joker from 2019, I'm not sure it would even do well financially. I mentioned Tiny Tina from Borderlands a couple of episodes ago, and I'm reminded of something from her story. You see, Tina knew this guy named Roland, who she looked up to as something of an older brother/father figure. During the events of Borderlands 2, Roland is killed, and in the DLC for that game, Tina is sort of forced to come to terms with that fact. It's nothing amazing, but it stands out, mostly because the Borderlands series is pretty vacuous otherwise. Anyway, going back to the rotting corpse, Victor's response to Jinx's cringe is, "You have much to offer this commune, Powder." When someone uses my given name that I haven't used in years and says I have a lot to offer their commune, that's my cue to run. Also, Jinx has this reaction that's similar to her mental breaks from Season 1, and it just feels like pandering at this point. This season doesn't actually care about her mental illness. Hell, she's perfectly fine to talk about it with Grogu. Victor goes on to say, "Your talents could be used to build, instead of destroy." Jinx replies, "I'll stick to what I know, thanks." But wait, I thought we were going on that big fat hero arc. Victor says that his condition for curing Vander is that he has to be restrained at night, because he has seen the harm of which he is capable. If the creepy cult leader wants the family member to be restrained while he performs his healing ritual, it might be time to search for alternatives. I'm mostly joking, I know he's a risk. Also, why only at night? He's not a werewolf, and his power for smelling blood doesn't have anything to do with the time of day. And I can't believe I'm asking this in earnest, but what about menstruation? Or any of the many ways in which people bleed? Does he hunt them down to break them out of prison or to maul them? It's not my fault they made the rules confusing. Vi asks Jinx what she thinks, and Jinx is like, "You actually want my opinion?" Yeah, this is where we are now. We're on a journey to reunite our family and get a happy ending. Remember when the point of Season 1 was that the culmination of your choices can make a happy ending unachievable? Season 2 is like, "But you can though." What do you mean? How? You just can. So now it's time for our first music video of the episode. It was too much to hope that we were done with them. It's about Victor and Skye walking through Vander's... I don't even know what all this is. You get the impression that it's like fragments of Vander's soul or something, but I don't know how the soul of a person can be intertwined with the ferocious rage monster. Did Revik inject a second soul into Vander? Do wolves have souls in this universe? What even is Victor? He went from a science guy that was trying to cure his super cancer to a cosmic god or something. How does he feel about all of this? Is he even remotely the same person? Shut up. Enjoy the pretty visuals. Look, here's all the happy memories he had when he was human. Except now it's a memory that Vi has about her parents coming home, and the life they had together. Why have we switched perspectives like this? I thought it was about finding Vander's memories. Whatever. It ends with Violet looking at the support from the first season that had the markings for how tall the girls were. Did it sink into the soil, or were they just really tiny children? Also, it's made of like steel or something. Why hasn't this commune melted it down for materials? Oh wait, I'm supposed to be feeling emotional right now. They have a bonding sesh, and Vi's like, "What if we stayed here and helped this place out?" Here's a thought for you. This place is thriving, and led by a magical healer that can cure even the most grievous of conditions. Word of what goes on here has spread as far as Piltover, so why is it so small? It's basically a utopia, and it has been active for a few months at least. People will be flocking to this place for all manner of reasons, and Piltover's current control of Zaun would allow them easy access. Speaking of which, Dr. Revik is down here with his Vander finding compass, and he's got an army of Noxians to back him up, plus Caitlyn for some reason. Doesn't she have a city to rule? They pull up to the gate, and former addict guy is like, "No weapons, the Herald insists." So Rictus walks up to him like, "What are you gonna do to stop me?" But Revik intercedes and says, "I believe this Herald may be a former pupil of mine. I'll go talk to him." Anyway, back over to Victor. He's doing some sparky things with his hands to Vander. But in the Void Realm, he and Skye are just sitting next to a Vander lump or something. What happened to walking through the lava world? I'm just trying to figure out what they are actually doing. But maybe that's where I went wrong. Revik walks in and says, "You felt it, haven't you? Your decline. Your power is finite, diminished by every use." How the hell does he know all of this? He just has an intricate knowledge of hexcore human coupling. Victor is like, "I've been expecting you, Doctor." Oh yeah? Why's that? Did you use your godly powers? Or did you think he'd be curious? I don't know, man. Revik says, "Incredible. What I wouldn't give to glimpse the world through your eyes, to know what you know." And then he just touches Victor's hand. Gotta admire his lack of trepidation, I suppose. Victor sees a memory of Revik reading a book to his daughter. He says, his quest led him astray of any trodden path. His own shadow dissolved to darkness, and now the only course was forward. The only warmth, a dream of her waltz. I'm just gonna sit here and dwell on that for a moment, because it's basically one of the only good lines in this entire goddamn season. What I wouldn't give just to see her dance again. Snap back to reality, Victor says, knowledge is a paradox. The more one understands, the more one realizes the vastness of his ignorance. Revik says in relation to the beast, marvelous specimen, isn't he? The regenerative qualities of his blood will stabilize you. Apex Shimmer combined with you, the apex form of Hextech. Really, it just works that way, huh? Sure. Victor says, what you're suggesting would destroy him. I mean, you could just take a little bit of blood. Surely you don't need the whole bag. One small vial was enough to... Why am I trying to figure this out? Victor goes on to say, and for what? Conquest? The greed of warmongers? Weren't you just in his mind, Victor? You saw exactly what his motivation was. You can know everything about a person in seconds, but you think this guy wants to conquer stuff? Revik says, to complete your work, to save us from ourselves, you must survive, Victor. It just goes back to what he said to Kate and Ambessa. I want to cure that affliction we all suffer, death. Feels weird to have a consistent character in this season. Victor says, do you believe in fate, Doctor? Oh boy, here we go. Our paths carved before us, guided by an invisible hand. Revik replies, not fate, evolution, nature's greatest force, forever in flux. Victor says, no, evolution has a destination, not to combat nature, but to supersede it. The final glorious evolution. So, evolution is meant to replace nature? Does he mean that human nature should be replaced by a desire to evolve as a person? Or is he talking about biological evolution? I thought it was largely random, with some element of adapting to one's environment. Does it work differently in magical bullshit land? Do I really want to be here thinking about this? Victor concludes with, but he isn't a specimen, he's a man, and he needs my help. I will not sacrifice his humanity for your cause. You should remember this line. So Revik leaves, and Violet just happens to be walking by and notices him. I don't think they have interacted once in the show, and yet she decides to follow him like he's someone she knows to be suspicious of. She follows him through some canyons or something, when suddenly Caitlin jumps down and knocks her over. Why is she here? Is she doing reconnaissance or something? The leader of Piltover is on scouting duty? Do I need to explain why national leaders don't go out on their own like this? Also, why did she not notice that this was Vi until she was on her back? She has a sniper scope. And sure, Vi has some grease on her drapes, but beyond that she hasn't really changed. She's got a face tattoo of her name for fuck's sake. Kate is like, you can't be here. And Vi says, you mean right where I landed when this rich, unhinged mongoose attacked me? Then Kate says, your hair, you look like an angry oil slick. Please, for the love of God, tell me we are actually going to get a substantive conversation between these two. Vi says, what are you doing here? And Kate says, tracking some new kind of chem weapon, a bloodthirsty murderous beast. What are you doing here? And Vi says, trying to save my dad. And then we cut away. Fuck me. Over at Ambessa's tent, Revik says, Victor believes he can save the man inside the beast. If he succeeds, I'm afraid the creature's usefulness will be lost to us. I believe I can craft a serum that will prohibit Victor's success. You know, anytime this guy says he can make a thing that will do a thing, I'll just take his word for it at this point. Why not? So Kate comes in, and she has taken Vi prisoner. My first thought was, wow, she actually committed to Ambessa. And then my second thought was, oh wait, it's a trick, isn't it? I know, I'm a little slow on the uptake. We get a quick shot of Jace heading into the commune before going back to the totally captured Vi. And she spits in Kate's face. Yep, that totally convinces me. Ambessa sends Rictus out, and then Revik plugs a thing into a thing, and he and Caitlin leave to do the thing with Vander. Which means Ambessa and Vi are alone. I'm sure this won't lead to... whatever, you know where it leads. Some of Revik's blood is dropped in a cage, which causes Vander to stir a bit. But then we see that Jinx is watching from above, and she sees that Grogu has retrieved the pistol. Grogu gets back to Jinx, and Jinx says, I've had some time to think lately. Ever since you dropped into my life, it's like I put on glasses. Except I can't tell if everything's blurry or clear. And I'm just going to reiterate a bunch of stuff I have said already. Childhood trauma doesn't go away just because a little Grogu falls on you. Don't adopt a child if you have severe mental issues, and Grogu idolizing a person like Jinx is fucking horrible. Jinx goes on to say, "Wanna hear a dumb joke? A sentimental ex-con, a giant furball, and two of Piltover's most wanted walk into a weird cult. And we see that Revik and Kate are just in the room with Vander now. We have to go slow here because this is mind-meltingly stupid. First off, Jinx is incredibly chill considering who these people are. She hates Caitlyn for stealing Vi from her, and also for the whole hunting her and trying to kill her thing. And then Revik was the one that essentially put her through torture in order to give her the shimmer powers. But she's just like, hey, look at that. Not to mention that they are right next to the person she considers to be her father. How could this possibly go wrong? Then you have the fact that Revik and Kate were able to just walk into this place like it was nothing. After what Victor saw in Revik's mind, you'd think he would have added some security to the place. But no, they just walk in. Fuck me. Back at Ambessa's tent, Ambessa starts monologuing about why she's going to kill Vi. It's fucking boring because you know how this is going to end. Plus Ambessa giving dumb speeches like this just makes her stupid. One more character for the corpse pile. Vi says, "You know, my father taught me about trust. If I wanted it, there were only 3 things I needed to do." Really? Are you sure there wasn't a 4th? Plus 3 more that were optional or something? I get the impression that the only reason Ambessa entertains this speech is because she gets excited at the notion of someone having 3 principles. Vi continues, "Be honest, even if it means telling a self-righteous windbag that her breath smells like a cesspool." Fucking end me. Be patient, still haven't quite cracked that one, but being tied up sure helps. Fucking end me. Then Ambessa goes, "And the 3rd?" Then Vi says, "Just shut the fuck up." Ambessa notices that Kate's gun is missing a contraption, and then throws a knife at Vi. Vi gets free and throws said contraption into the air as we get a flashback of Caitlyn explaining where the guards will be posted. She says, "They won't be expecting trouble at home. With timing and a bit of luck." A bit of luck? Okay, first off, what did Vi say to Caitlyn to convince her to do this? All we get is, "I'm trying to save my dad." Did Vi explain that her dad is trapped in the body of a giant undead wolf creature? And that she knows this because a cosmic Jesus looked into his soul? Having the conversation that convinces Caitlyn is important because it helps us understand her as a character, and what it takes to convince her of this insane set of circumstances. But just like all of the music videos, I'm supposed to imagine what took place. That's not how character development works. You can't just have them do whatever and expect the audience to invent the circumstances. That's your job as the goddamn writers. And even what they do give us is utter nonsense. Vi wasn't searched by anyone. She wasn't killed immediately, and Bessa makes everyone leave. She fucking monologues. The guards outside the tent don't hear a commotion. This all sucks. Also, Vi doesn't kill Ambessa here. You would think ending the foreign leader that is subverting Piltover would be a given, but Vi just leaves. And also, what would Piltover think about Dictator Caitlyn betraying the Noxian hired help? Would this not have severe consequences on foreign relations? What does the council think of this? Or I suppose just counsel her neck because she's the only one still accounted for. What's going on? This all happened because Caitlyn, commander of Piltover, was on guard duty or some shit. Nobody deserves to have to watch this. We go back over to Jace, losing his freaking mind. Right there with you, buddy. He's about to double his child KD, but he composes himself and the kid leads him to Victor. You led the spazzed out crazy guy with a giant magical hammer directly to the leader? Is Victor facilitating this? What about the no weapons policy? Anyway, after Kate knocks out Revik, she tries to wake up Vander. Are you serious? Do you have any idea how wrong this could go? He has no idea who she is. Fortunately, Rictus shows up and starts strangling Caitlyn. It's kind of crazy how this show has me wishing for the deaths of characters I once liked. Quite an achievement, that is. Of course, we all know this show loves its bastardized characters, so none of them are going to die here. Sure enough, Jinx, of all people, saves Caitlyn's life. Do I even bother reminding you how Jinx feels about this person? Rictus is such a badass that he blocks the bullet. Man, the way he moves throughout this fight is pretty awesome. He even gets the better of Jinx. They get me all excited by teasing her death, but in comes Vander to block the blow. Vander says, "Don't touch my daughter," and knocks Rictus out of the window. Good God, I hate it. Kate wakes up and goes, "You," upon seeing Jinx. But Vi and Grogu run in, and they all do a hug. It's too bad Kate can't hug her mom. Let's see, why is that the case again? It actually feels really rude that nobody even asks Kate if she's alright. They just start doing a Vander hug. And also, how did Vi make it out of the noxious who cares? Meanwhile, Jace uses his hammer blast to kill Victor. Victor seems surprised by this, despite the fact that he knew he should be worried about this unhinged Jace. Did he not warn his people about a guy with a hammer? They didn't even take it away from him, which makes me think that Victor wanted him to get here, but he wasn't expecting a kill shot? I don't know what they want me to think. We see that Victor has a small hole in his chest. You just showed the blast. It was like 10 times that size. So all the people that Victor helped fall over and lose their souls or something. What do you want me to think here? Not only can Victor assume control over them if he wants, but their life force is tied directly to his? You look back at that happy-go-lucky folk music video that played when Victor was perusing Vander's memories, and you stop to ask yourself, was Victor just assimilating him? Does Victor know that he's turning people into soul-linked zombies? Also, Vander has turned into a lava-spewing monster. He goes over to Rictus and starts mauling him to pieces. You are too good for this trash. Let this be a lesson. No man is stronger than a hack writer's shitty plot. Ambessa, who was not killed by Vi for some reason, shows up and sends her army into battle. Then Victor has a speech over the carnage. He says, "I understand now, the message hidden within the pattern. The reason for our failures in the commune. The doctor was right. It's inescapable. Humanity. Our very essence. Our emotions. Rage, compassion, hate. Two sides of the same coin. Inextricably bound." Sure, you could say all that. Or you could just say, why does anyone commit acts others deem unspeakable? For love. It's a lot less wordy and it gets the same point across. Also, rage, compassion, and hate are two sides of the same coin. So triangles are actually squares and coins have 3 sides. Fucking genius. The episode is almost over, but first we have to have our second music video. You are not fucking ready. Stuff is going crazy. Fire and swords and bullets, it's a madhouse. Vander smacks Jinx around, and Grogu is like, "I have to do something." So she pulls out the 2 gemstones that she got from Vi's gauntlets that Vi shouldn't have left in them in the first place. Grogu then runs towards a raging Vander as some gay-ass French music plays. Then we get flashbacks of the time Grogu spent with Jinx. You know, those scenes that the audience never saw until now. Grogu puts the extra crystals in Jinx's dropped gun, and then does a little finger pew at Jinx, before aiming the gun up at Vander and firing it, killing everyone in the process. It's too good. Wow. This little 6-year-old has such a thorough understanding of everything that is taking place, to the point where she decides to commit suicide to save Jinx. Did all of the writers absorb Jinx's mental illness from the first season? Because it's not in Jinx anymore. You had this little girl be inspired by Jinx to kill herself? The fuck is wrong with you? You played happy music over it. You tried to make it look like an inspiring moment. How did this go through every one of the people involved and no one said, how about we don't have the child gleefully kamikaze? I don't get it. The first season had such a strong grasp of a child's psychology. But here we have this kid that comprehends complex and chaotic situations on a battlefield, no less. And I also can't believe that they decided to give her and Jinx history just before she dies. Anyone here seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? The flashbacks that inspire him to fight instead of run is stuff that happened in the movie. In this, it's just here to manipulate you into feeling sad during this insane scene. And I'm sure you would believe me if I told you that everyone else survives this. Dr. Revik, Ambessa, Jinx, Kate, Vi, even Vander is only incapacitated. And Victor comes back as well. This little girl sacrificed herself and it was fucking worthless. Look at the size of this explosion. Everyone should have been vaporized. Victor has one last thing to say. He goes, "That which inspires us to our greatest good is also the cause of our greatest evil." Hey, did you know that by trying to do good things, you can end up doing bad things? Thank you, Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park 3. This last line from Victor is said as if it's meant to be some big revelation. But I heard and understood the phrase, "the road to hell is paved with good intentions," when I was like fucking 12. It's not even an immutable law or anything. It just means that you should think about the consequences of your good intentions. And on the flip side, people can do evil without even intending any good. I also like that this line comes after Grogu realistically nukes everyone when she intended to save them. What do you expect me to think? It was at this point that I no longer considered this season to be canon with the first. It is just far too incongruent. The backwards characters, the tone-deaf themes, the contrived series of events that led us here. This was either written by someone divorced from the first season, or it's some kind of self-sabotage. It is such a distinct inversion of quality that is the only way I can wrap my head around it. I viewed the remainder of the episodes out of morbid curiosity, because my investment was caught up in that Grogu explosion that definitely killed everyone. Would you believe me if I told you that this only gets worse?
There's a hole in my heart, as deep as the well for that poor little boy who's stuck halfway to hell.
Though we can't get him out, we'll do the next best thing.
We'll go on TV and sing, sing, sing.
And
We're sending our love down the well.
All the way down,
We're sending our love down the well.
down that well.
Boys, you saved Christmas. Also, I'm Jesus.
Thanks, Jesus. Jesus.
It's time to go to heaven, my child.
Stop it. What are you doing?
Stop,
it.
don't
Stop it.
fight.
Cut it out.
Don't
Help.
stop. Come on, Zach. Let's go to heaven. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Don't stop.
Hey! Let that kid go!
Fuck this.